A second attempt had to be made. Kurt Schaefer was enlisted to help fulfill Moscow's overdue order.
A friend of mine asked me to help him to move the orangutans from Singapore to Moscow because he had a problem in Singapore to ship them by cargo straight to Moscow. The arrangement being read, a guy met me in Singapore, and I had a newspaper under my arm that he recognized me. The guy came with 3 boxes. I asked him what happened. How can we so small boxes with belt boxes, right?
You're surprised they were so small?
I've been very surprised, yeah. Very small. I said, how can be orangutans inside? He said, no, don't worry. They are babies. No? And they asked me for my passport and my ticket. I gave it to them. They took the boss and they make the whole check-in. I not been at the counter, not at all.
This time, the way round CITES and customs controls was amazingly simple. The crates were checked onto a passenger flight like suitcases, a loophole widely exploited by smugglers. Labels saying live birds, it was hoped, would account for any noise and movement in the boxes. Who asked you? Who was your friend who asked you to do that?
I don't want to say any names.
Schaefer took off, the baby orangutans in the hold. Also on board now were 2 rare Siamang gibbons, a vital part of a new arrangement to get the orangutans to Moscow via the Yugoslavian capital of Belgrade. Schaefer changed planes in Bangkok and flew on to Belgrade in Eastern Europe, unaware that his valuable charges were no longer with him. The plot was foiled. Between flights, alert officials suspicious of the crates put them through X-ray. The 2 Siamangs in one crate were in fair health, but the orangutans were desperately ill. Mr. Boonlord, as confiscating officer, would they have survived if they'd gone on?
If they stayed at the airport one more day, I think that all of them must dead. So we decided to take them to our custody. It's a bad condition, so it needs patient care. So we took them to Wildlife Fund Thailand volunteer.
The sanctuaries to which the 6 were taken specialize in the care of gibbons and other primates rescued from the animal trade.
The forestry department called me and said that there'd been a seizure of 6 at the airport. I went to the forest department at almost midnight on the Thursday night to pick them up. They were in an appalling condition, starving, screaming, bloated stomachs. 3 of them were grey. The smallest one and one other were comatose. So we just wrapped them in blankets with hot water bottles and brought them home.
The Bangkok 6 were intercepted on a well-used smuggling route between Southeast Asia and Eastern Europe. Whilst this attempt was an act of pure concealment, the animals were hidden and without any papers. Other shipments involving Thailand have based the deception on paperwork itself.
Well, one morning I got a letter from Poland in the mail, and there was this letter saying, I think I ought to tell you that my zoo has just imported these shipment. They had brought in 2 orangutans, and they brought in 12 gibbons, and that the baby gibbons were in horrible condition. 9 of them had died, and the others were very, very sick. He told me that these gibbons had been shown on Polish TV and that they had come in through a company called Interzoo, Slaughter Interzoo.
Slaughter Interzoo, run by animal trader Marley Slaughter, is based in the German town of Neuwied. The International Primate Protection League's Peter van der Bunt has been trying to challenge her about the source of the primates she's been acquiring.
Hallo?
Ja, schönen guten Tag, hier ist Peter van der Bunt. Ich hätte gerne mit Fräulein Marley Slaughter geredet.
Die ist nicht da. Meine Tochter ist in Afrika.
In Afrika ist sie zurzeit. Kann ich Sie da irgendwo erreichen vielleicht?
Oh, das ist schlecht. Ich kann nicht ihr Telefon daneben und so warten, bis sie mir hier eine Arbeit gibt. Also was ging es da?
Geschäftliches.
Ach so.
Dankeschön. Wiederhören. Well, obviously, she's at the moment in Tanzania, in Africa. Probably looking for more animals now.
This was not the first time the League had tried to contact Slaughter. Previously, their investigations had prompted a reply, one claiming complete innocence.
Marley Slaughter sent me a letter explaining that these animals had all been captive-born in a zoo in Cambodia, and she phoned me and talked about it. She even sent me documents on the stationery of the Kokang Zoo and all the export permits saying that the animals were born in Kokang Zoo.
Captive-born endangered primates can be traded quite legally, and this is Slaughter's defense, that her supplier is a legitimate zoo on a Cambodian island.
There's no zoo there. It's just a place where the animals are smuggled out of Thailand by boat onto Gokong. Then they're taken again by boat up through Cambodia to Phnom Penh and put on planes which fly them out into Eastern Europe or other countries, very often transiting in Thailand. But I suspect have been many Thai animals going out that way. But there's no such place as the Gokong Zoo.
In truth, Gokong Zoo is the holding station of a trader, as revealed in his letter to a known smuggler. The trader is Kampang Plerthan, based not in Cambodia but Bangkok, Thailand. When we visited his company offices undercover, he had ready advice not only about the local availability of orangutans, but also their export.
Some people have orangutan, but you can give me the list, what you need, and they can export. Every case, export license, certificate of origin, 3 kind of paper you can have.
Indeed, Kampang used documents exactly like these to ship orangutans and gibbons to Poland, the ones arranged through Slaughter Interzoo. Furthermore, Kampang's involvement was clearly known to Marley Slaughter. She was in direct communication with him.
Later, a telex fell into our hands just 3 days after the arrival of the orangutan and gibbons at the Polish zoo, telling him that 12 baby gibbons had arrived and they were in horrible condition, with several of them dead. But the 2 big red birds had arrived safely. And, of course, big red birds is the animal smuggler's code name for orangutans.
I think that the animal dealers involved are just trying to fool the animal buyers in Europe and America. And these animal buyers are so greedy for animals that they don't care. If they use their brains, they would think that there's no zoos in Cambodia or Laos, and these people just want animals. They don't care where they come from.
2 orangutans Slaughter bought from Kampang's bogus zoo, Quen and Duang, were used by unsuspecting Czechoslovakian filmmakers in, of all things, a film about endangered species. When they first arrived in Czechoslovakia, Quen and Duang needed intense care during quarantine at Ústí nad Labem Zoo. After their film appearances, they were confiscated from Slaughter and remain at Ústí Zoo. Also in Eastern Europe, a non-CITES country with a new reputation for illegal dealings is Yugoslavia, the country to which the Bangkok 6 were headed. And it's a Yugoslavian Peter van der Bunt has arranged to meet. Milka Knesević-Vašković has information about smuggled orangutans, including the Bangkok 6. Formerly an employee of Belgrade Zoo, she knows of 2 orangutans which arrived there without any proof of origin.
There were 2 female orangs, and they were in poor condition. And personally, Mr. Bojovic, he's director of the Belgrade Zoo, told us, workers in Belgrade Zoo, to keep their arrival in secrecy. Because the Belgrade Zoo had only chimps, and it was a big thing for Belgrade public to see orangs for the first time. I think it's the main reason.
So Mr. Bojovic was very eager, very keen to get hold of orangutans.
Yes, I think so. They're still here. They're in Belgrade Zoo, and without documents.
Still no documents?
No documents. And Mr. Bojovic admits that. But he says that doesn't matter, that the only thing, important thing, is to have rare species in Belgrade Zoo.
And it was Vukosav Bojovic who was to have played a key role in the attempt to smuggle the Bangkok 6 orangutans. His zoo would have been the animal's final staging post before Moscow, as planned by Kurt Schaefer.
So I asked my friend in Belgrade if it would be possible if they come as excess luggage in and will be transported from Belgrade by cargo to Moscow. I asked him and he said he would help me, and for that he would get 2 gibbons, 2 Simon gibbons.
Have you met Kurt Schaefer?
Yes, in February last year he came to Belgrade Zoo. He stayed only 1 day, and I translated the conversation between Bojovic and Kurt Schaefer.
And as overseas inquiries about the Bangkok 6 arrived, Milka translated Bojovic's denial of knowing anything about Kurt Schaefer's activities.
It was a lie. I knew that, and I asked him why. Why did he lie? And he didn't want to answer me.
Prodingtorg, the Soviet state company and customer for the Bangkok 6, says the animals were to have gone to a Soviet zoo, but denies any share of the guilt and insists it had no part in the wrongdoing of their suppliers. The question remains, who organized the plot? The key to the mystery seems to be the identity of M. An informant with inside information contacted Shirley McGreal. He suggested that M is an American trader.
And then he began to tell me the whole story of the shipment, how it had initially been unsuccessful and the orangs had been delivered to the airport and taken away, kept in Singapore. And he started to tell me a story that this shipment had been planned from Miami in association with some other animal dealers, and he was quite definite and insistent on that.
McGreal received copies of messages the contact said were sent by the American.
One of the faxes or telexes referred to a contract number which was listed out and said, please be sure that this is put on all the crates. And then this happened to be the identical number on the crates in which the Bangkok 6 was shipped from Singapore to Bangkok. So we saw that number on the crates.
Another fax was one that had urged Kurt Schaefer to be careful about carrying documents bearing M's name in case of discovery. And it gave a telephone number for replies. 305 is the Miami code.